This week I have been mostly doing nothing. Welcome back. We're not at the brewery, we're somewhere else. We are between Marbella and Fuengirola. I desperately needed a week off, so me and Sarah took advantage of a very generous offer from one of our neighbours to let us use their villa for a week. So here we are, just chilling. Slept a load. Really must have needed it, I guess. And some heavy weekends down at the brewery. So we're here and just chilling. But it's given me some time to think about some of the things we need to do. I'm going to make another little list so that when I get back to the brewery, which you'll see in a few minutes, we can crack on with a list of tasks. I've got another few days off the day job when we arrive back, so plenty of time to get some stuff done. But we'll head to the villa. I'll talk you through what we're going to do, and then we'll head to the brewery. So, jobs to do. Number one, got to get that power connected. So we'll run the armoured cable first thing when we're back. Second thing, I've got to get that fridge working again. The little fridge is jammed with hops. There's not enough space in it. I've got nowhere to keep beer cold for the customers that pop in and ask to buy occasionally. It would be nice to have, a fridge full of cans for them to choose from. So I've got to get that fixed. There's an earth fault on it. I think it's the heater, the defrost heater. When that clicks in, it's going off because it doesn't seem to be connected with the compressor starting or stopping. It seems random, and it's quite a number of hours before it starts to exhibit that fault. So I think we might just disconnect the defrost heater and see how that goes. Failing that, I'm going to scrap it because it's just taking up space. We have finally sourced some pallet racking. So I have on order two 2.7 metre wide bays next to each other, and then another about 1.8 metre wide bay, which should basically fill that whole wall, the long wall at the back where the plasterboard is, from behind the copper all the way down to as far as we'd want to go, so as not to impede the cold room entry and exit. It's 1 metre deep, so it's going to stick out quite a bit, but it's 4 metres tall, so we can get stuff up there. Obviously things that we want to use on a regular basis we'll keep quite low down, and things that we rarely use, just actually junk that I should probably throw out but can't bring myself to, will stick right up on the top. It's also, I think it's 1.5 tonnes or 1 tonne load bearing per bay, so I can get a CLT cold liquor tank or two up on the top shelves, which we can chill down, and that's really going to help when we're transferring out at the end of brew through the heat exchanger to use icy cool water to really improve the efficiency. So I don't know when it's coming. I've ordered it, and we just keep our fingers crossed that it's soon. Cold rooms, it's way too small still, and I don't know what to do about that. I can't go up. I can't go across the car park. We've had a tentative conversation about using some, but not all, of the unit next door through the plasterboard wall to extend a bit of storage into there. The intention with that was to put the pallet of grain in there and to stack the empty casks and kegs in there, the dirty ones that come back. But I'm wondering whether extending the cold room into there might be a better option for use of that space, because we should be able to store the grain up on the new racking. And I must brew a batch of Murgy this weekend, based on the existing customers. We've got enough to keep everybody going, but if I get any ad hoc requests from pubs and bars locally, I'm going to run out. I've got one spare cask within the lead time that it'll take to brew and get it ready, so I've got to get a brew on this weekend. So that's the priority. Get the cable in, get it tested, get the caustic brew done, and then what would have been a double Murgy we're going to smash out in one brew. And it's a good one to test with because I know exactly what the measurements need to be and the gravities at various points, so should be relatively easy to to make sure we're hitting the numbers as we go through. The worst thing will be to do a brew we've not done before on that kit. Also important is I've got a few hundred cans of Murgy still with no labels on, so we need to get those labelled, date coded, and up on the website. I've also got niece Amelia coming on Wednesday afternoon. After she's finished her day job, she's coming down to the brewery, and she's going to help me with some canning, lidding, labelling. Don't really know, but I've got like 5 or 6 hours of her time to just fill with stuff while I'm getting on, probably fixing faults that we've discovered through the brew day on Tuesday. So we'll get her up to speed with the canning process. I'll be there to check the fill levels are right and whatever, but she can quietly get on with that in the background, get her headphones in, and I think I've got probably there's probably 300 cans that she could fill and label, so there's a couple of hours, at least more than that, probably 3 hours I reckon, to do that, labelling, date coding, boxing, and then maybe some other stuff around the brewery she wants to help me with. So the old brew kit, what am I going to do with it? I don't know. I wish I could keep it, but I've got nowhere to store it. Just to sell it and make some money on it is an option, but it doesn't feel right because it was given to us, and for free, essentially. The tanks, at least, there was money to spend to get them to a functional level, but the tanks themselves, I'd love to find somebody who's in the same position that I was a couple of years ago, and needs a start. Some of the kit I do need to recover some money from the things that we had to buy. The HLT, the tank, imported it from Italy. We had to put tri-clamps on it. We insulated it, thermo wells, etc., all that stuff we needed to do. So there's some cost there that I'd like to try and recover. Put 4 brand new backer heating elements into the copper. So there's some cost there, and then there's the various fittings and RJTs and bits and bobs that we had to add as well. So, and the fermenter, we added a heating coil to it so that you can raise the temp for diacetyl or just to maintain the temp in cold winters, etc. So, I do need some recovery of that because, I just need the cash. Basically, we need the cash. But the tanks themselves, I've not associated any value with those on the books, so we can do the same thing that the Ace guys at the lodge did, by allowing us to take that off their hands. But I know there's people out there who'll just free brewery, let's flip it, make 10 grand or whatever. You won't, by the way, but I'm just trying to avoid that. So, if there's a genuine startup out there that really is looking for this size kit, then I'd be happy to have a chat. And that's you lot updated. I have 3 more days here, so I'm just going to chill and do precisely nothing apart from eat and drink and sit in the sun. But you don't have to wait, because probably after the ad break that YouTube are probably going to put in right here, we'll be back at the brewery and we can get started on some of these jobs. See you in a minute. Right, we're back. Uneventful journey back home into Birmingham. No traffic, perfect. It is not Sunday, however, because I spent Sunday and Monday and Tuesday fixing problems, which I'll tell you about a little bit in a second. But for today, we are doing 818 litres of Murgy Straight. Scaled the recipe. Actually scaled it in Brewfather because it's quite good for scaling, and then shoved it into brew.com. The first thing I noticed is I'm going to need 462 litres of water and then 533 litres of water, it says here. So I'm pretty close to the capacity of this tank. So just before we start, you might see there's some bit of steam coming out the top of the copper. I'm just getting some additional water up to temp, so when we mash I can replace it, just in case. I don't want to run out of water halfway through the brew, or halfway through the sparge I should say. So I'm going to mash in, and then while we're mashing, I'll show you what we've done around the corner here. In you go. There you go. Beautiful. Okie dokie. That's all the ingredients in then. So 100 kilos of extra pale, or clear choice pale as it's now known. 20 kilos Maris-Otter, 10 kilos of wheat, 4 kilos of carrot plus the water treatments. Next it says 462 litres of water, which sounds like loads, but there's plenty of space in that mash tun. And I do like a loose mash, so let's just show you what's going on in there. There you go. So as you can see, there's a lot of depth left. I'm not sure how that looks on the screen, but we're not halfway, nowhere near. Have you seen it?
It's your new kit.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a change from a year ago, isn't it?
It is. Still no money in it.
Excellent. Hardly any black smoke.
No black smoke. No.
No banging from the contactors falling out, that kind of thing.
It's clunked
Excellent.
A few times. It's clicking in and out, but that's all right.
Oh, it's clicking in and out. That's what it's meant to do.
Yeah. All good. Right, the water's up to temperature. The lid is on. You can't quite see because it's a bit low down, but behind the underback, which is essentially my old homebrew kit for now, because I was let down by the supplier. The tap or the valve under here, I can connect this little adapter to, which I'll do now, and then we can plug the water hose onto it. And then just to avoid any kinks, we'll just hang it over the top. And we can open the valve. So that should pump the water in, hopefully. Let's check the doors shut, which it is nice and tight. So that is ready to receive water. This is up to temperature. Let's tip you back up, there we go. So according to the recipe, 462 litres of liquor needs to go in. Ignore the error at the bottom. That's only showing an error because I've not connected the thermocouple probe to it. Okay, 462. Okay, so we will just check that everything is as it should be. So that valve's open. I know the pump, I've not touched the pump, so that's okay. We're connected and the valve's open. So we can push the water in now and see what happens. I've no idea if this is the right way or not, but we're going to do it because it most closely resembles the old process. Right, 3, 2, 1, go. Right, the water's going in. Somebody said the other day, make sure your shovel fits through the door. And I didn't check, but I think we might just be all right with that. One thing I did forget was some sort of step I've got a little two-step kick stoolie thing at home. It's loosened up now. Yeah, putting the water in from the bottom, the malt kind of lifts like a big raft, and it doesn't sort of, I think it just forms like a seal. So you've just got to break through it, and then the water comes over and you're done. That is 243 litres so far, and we're looking good. Let's give you a quick look. Mid-stir. So you see there's loads of dry bits still, there's loads of dough balls. We'll get that all mixed in. I think I'll stick you up there. It's looking good now. Not many dough balls, just little bitty ones, but they'll fall apart when I give it a good whiz round in a minute. 376 litres. So we're at 444. I'm going to do what I always do, and I'm just going to do a little temperature check, which will determine whether we stop putting water in or not. So get one other whiz round, because honestly I have no idea how well this one is insulated compared with the other one. I think it's more insulated, but of course there's more metal, which was sitting at ambient temperature before we put the water in, so it's going to soak a bit of that heat up. Let's have a little nosy. So with this we're looking for 66, 64, 65, 67, oh, 67, 67. We're going to stop there then. I mean, we could top it off with a bit of cold. Can I live with 60? I think I can live with 67. So that's 10 litres of cold. $65.89. Yeah, 10 litres of coal, that's done it. 60. Yeah, done. 65, high 65s. So the recipe said 462 litres to get the required mash thickness. But because my start temperature was too high, I only got to 444 and we had 67.5. I've added 10 litres of cold, sort of whatever that is, 17, 18 degrees. So 454. So it's pretty close actually, 454. 454. I'll put a bit more hot in. We'll just get it to 60. We'll get it to where it needs to be. 462. It's nice to be able to get around the back of these things. Not like the old ones. I've sacrificed a bit of space now because in front of them it's just easier to work with, especially if we're not doing this tap room thing right now. Still on the plan, but just not immediately. Okay, so let's get you down from up there and we'll see where we're up to. Right, 10:40 a.m. mashed in. A bit later than normal, but I don't mind. I'm not in work, day job work, so I've got the full day and evening and tomorrow if necessary, although I fancy a day doing not a lot tomorrow, given that we've spent Monday and Tuesday, 12 hours each day, getting things set. So, mashed in, 462 litres in total, although only 444 plus another 7, 452 came out of here. So 1,000 litre tank, should have over 500 left. The little marker, let's turn the pump off. The little marker that I see here is there, and that is more than half. Although it doesn't go all the way to the bottom, does it? So it's probably about right. However, I'm going to dump the water that we've heated up in the copper. I'm going to chuck across and get it into there now. So just need some hoses. Right, let me show you what we've been doing here. Lots of hose changing usually, so I'm just trying to minimize that. And what we've got now, it's not perfect, but it's like most things here, it's functional. We've got the ability to switch between two inputs to the pump. One is out to the mash tun with the new underback that we're using. That's the one that comes straight out the front. The one that comes off at the side there is fed from the bottom of the copper. So when we are pumping through the heat exchanger, we need to move liquids around, we can pump it into the kettle and then out through the top here. At the moment we're going down this blue hose, the pump, that handle's slightly open, the other one's closed, which goes off to feed the heat exchanger. So that will massively reduce the amount of pipe work that we've got to mess around with on brew day. What I need to do now is get the water out of here, which is hot, and into the HLT. So we're all set now. The right valves are open. Out of here, the main valve's open there. This valve is open, and then we go through the red hose. This valve is open. That one's closed, which is good. We don't want it to, you know, backfill the underback, and then into the pump, out of the pump, and up here through this valve, which I'll open fully once we start, and this one out to the heat exchanger is closed. So quick temperature check, let's see how this tank mash tun holds the temperature with the insulation and whatnot. Obviously we're only able to test the temperature right at the top, and it is quite deep, but it was 65.8 when we went in, more or less, and we're currently 65.7, 65.8, so no temperature loss. No insulation on the lid either, but it doesn't feel particularly warm, so it's doing something at least. So what does that tell me? That tells me I panicked and I needn't have bothered. Typically on the old kit I would allow a 5-degree delta between the hot water temperature, the hot liquor tank temperature, and the desired mash temperature. And 5 degrees seemed to do the trick. So at 66 degrees, I'd be somewhere around 71, 72. And for a 68-degree mash, I'd be somewhere around 73.5-ish. I'd go a little bit over just because it's easier to cool it down than it is to heat it up. So I don't think this is going to be any different. I'd started today at 75 and we missed the volume target because we'd hit the temperature, and then we had to add a little bit of cold and a little bit of hot to balance it out, to get to the original volume that we needed. So I'm going to go back to the same process that I applied previously, which is 5 degrees, particularly in this weather. I think in the winter we'll need to reassess that when everything's icy cold in here when we come and brew. It's going to suck a lot of heat out of the water into the tanks themselves. But for now, happy with that, that's good. So we are probably nearly 30 minutes in now. And at this stage, with the old process, I'd give her a bit of a stir. I know, controversial or what? I'd give it a bit of a stir. So I'm going to do the same because I'm trying to not change anything. The false bottom in this, which I don't know if I showed you previously, but the false bottom in this is quite a lot more. The holes are bigger, basically. So I think we're potentially going to have a problem with bits getting out, hence the underback. There you go. So, you know, maybe try not to disturb the grain bed as much, which is not that difficult because this shovel doesn't reach to the bottom. without me getting my hand in as well. Ah, that's hot. Right, 11:33. We are now into new territory. What are we going to do? We are going to open this valve right here and drain through this sieve into this 50 litre, what was my homebrew kit. And out of there, down this pipe, into the pump, and then out of the pump, down this blue hose. Now, to begin with, this blue hose, which is currently there, is just going to recirculate, just to get the bits and bobs, you know, into the filter before we start dropping it into the copper up there. Then once the level of the tank drops a little bit, we've got the sparge ready to set up. This one squeaks even more than the old one. But basically the hot water HLT there, onto there, out of there, into that. And then it's just a case then of making sure the pump speed matches the fill rate into the underback there. So this is likely to go wrong, but we'll work it out as we go. Okay, so we are, let's show you. So we are transferring some wort out into the underback through the, well, that's hop spider basically, which you can't see at the moment, but definitely loads of bits of grain and whatever, which have snuck their way through the false bottom. So we're just going to get that to a reasonable depth, and we're just going to recirculate it back into the mash tun for a minute, just to check the clarity really, because we've got all the bits and sediment at the bottom. But it looks all right. It doesn't look much different than normal. So I haven't really tried to match the pump speed yet, but we've got wort draining into here from the copper just with gravity. It's probably a bit deeper than I need, but it'll do for now. And then through the pump, you can see the grain in there. Definitely pulling some grain, or has pulled some grain out, but none in the main body of liquid, which is good. And we're just dropping it back in there. So that is looking lovely at the moment. I'm just going to do a quick gravity check. We were at 1060 a minute ago, but now it's started circulating through. We can check it properly. Whoa, that's very high. That's very high. It's in, right. I saw an automatic underback from Latimer Ales, who actually are the manufacturer of the HLT that we bought, and it's got a couple of float switches which stops and starts the fill of the underback, so you can just take your eye off it for a minute. I think this is probably going to overflow at some point, so maybe you should think about having a chat with those guys, or maybe producing something similar. That I think is level at the moment. It ain't going up, it ain't going down. If we just go up the ladder, I'll show you what's going on inside the tank. It's a bit steamy, but you can probably see. Oh. We are filling. We've got a long way to go. On the sparge front, we are getting ready almost. The sparge arm is almost ready. Give that another minute, and once that's above the level of the grain, we'll get her spinning and squeaking. 1070, 1075.